This is a severe weather update from your KHQA Elite Weather Team, brought to you by Hilbing Auto Body.
The National Weather Service office out of the Quad Cities has now upgraded the severe thunderstorm warning now to a tornado warning, as there are indications on radar that this storm has now started to rotate in a fashion that is exhibiting perhaps maybe a funnel cloud or maybe a funnel aloft in association with a wall cloud. This warning goes for northwestern Hancock County and central Lee County in southeastern Iowa. So just across parts of south of Fort Madison to north of Keokuk. And then that extends into parts of northwestern Hancock County. And again, this is until 8:15. So what the National Weather Service is saying is that this thunderstorm is capable of perhaps producing a tornado that was located over specifically Nauvoo, but we've also indicated some reflectivity back just west of the Mississippi River, so that would be close in the proximity of Nauvoo, moving to the southeast at about 30 miles an hour. Quarter-size hail along with some strong gusty wind is very possible. So the radar is indicating some rotation on the backside of this as this makes its way to the southeast at about 30 miles an hour. Flying debris is very possible. So some specific locations I do want to highlight here: Elvaston, Nauvoo State Park, Bluff Park, Camp Eastman. You need to go to a safe place, preferably below ground. You need to get out of your mobile home, preferably find some place of shelter that's a little more solid. And again, you need to find some sort of safe place, safe haven, where you've exercised your emergency procedures before. If not, find some place that you can access, especially in a low-lying area, and get yourself away from any kind of flying debris if that's going to be the case. So we've got our very own Nick Stewart, who is located just outside that area. There he is in the Farm and Home Storm Runner. Nick, do we have any audio? I know we've got some pretty good video there. Nick, are you available? Okay, we don't have Nick's audio, but there's the video there. And Nick has been traveling west on Highway 136. I'm not exactly sure where Nick is located right now, but Nick said earlier that storm had exhibited or was moving into an environment that he said was a little bit on the questionable side, where we had some lift that was very possible. And indeed, so now it has made its way in across towards the Mississippi River. So now we've got indication on radar. So Nick is making his way towards what looks as though he may be turning to the west. And we will perhaps maybe make some audio connection there. And we'll go ahead and see if we can get a little bit closer look at what is going on radar. Excuse me. There's been some indications from Peoria where they have had some tornadic activity. That was earlier this evening. That has all pretty much gone away. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of zoom in on this specific storm and see what is going on. We're getting some reports from fellow storm chasers saying that they're seeing a lot of scud clouds, but not necessarily funnel clouds, and we're trying to get some sort of response from the National Weather Service on some of that. Nick is also keeping a very close eye on that. So if control room, if we can get any kind of audio out of Nick, that would be most appreciative. Just let me know. So what we're looking at is Nauvoo State Park, North County Road 1000 and County Road 2450. If you're in the vicinity of that, you need to be taking shelter right now if you have not done so already. This is a radar indicated storm. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring in a detection on the radar that indicates inbound, outbound wind. This tells me if there's any indication here, if we're going to be having any kind of wind that is blowing towards the radar and then back out from the radar. So this gives me any indication here that perhaps maybe there's some circulation. And there's really not anything real definitive. What I'd like to see is some really a good shadowing, like a red and green highlighting what we call gate-to-gate shear on some of this couplet. I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing just a little bit of brightening here with some of the pixels but it's nothing really definitive. Right there where it says Nauvoo, where it says Highway 96, that was where the radar was indicating that this, if it is a funnel cloud or if it is a tornado, not seeing really anything definitive out of that. Now that's using the Quad Cities. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Lincoln, Illinois radar site. And there, what I'm getting is a bunch of garbage. I think that radar is just a little bit too far. Let me see if I can use the Des Moines site. There, it's cleared up just a little bit. But again, using the Des Moines radar site, I'm not really getting anything that is really definitive as far as any inbound, outbound wind couplets with that particular thunderstorm. But again, this was indicated by radar. There were some storm spotters saying that they thought they saw perhaps was maybe a wall cloud, and the tornadoes are born out of wall clouds. So kind of repeating, if you're joining us, the National Weather Service office out of the Quad Cities issued a tornado warning for Hancock and central Lee counties in southeastern Iowa until 8:15 this evening, as radar indicated a short time ago a severe thunderstorm that was capable of producing a tornado that was located over Nauvoo, moving to the southeast at 30 miles an hour. Primary hazards, tornado and quarter-size hail. So again, folks, if you're just joining us, I would say if you are anywhere around McCall, Rock Creek, Elvaston, I would even say probably around Carthage, you probably need to be getting to your safe place sooner than later, and not try to see if you can get any video out of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the regular radar and show you that this is packing some very heavy rainfall. This is all red, indication of reflectivity. This is all very heavy rain. If this was showing purple, that would be probably the indication of hail. Now, when the radar sweeps over, it shows just a real brief indication of purple, but actually, right now, the reflectivity is just on the rain side. This may be wrapped in rain. Right now, Nick says he can't get a very good visual. He's located now in Lee County. He's almost under the area of rotation. He said the rain is very, very heavy. That is his report back to the National Weather Service via the National Weather Service chat. But right now, we can't establish any audio with Nick at this point in time. Do we still have the visual from the Farm and Home Storm Runner? You got a weak signal coming in? Okay, that's probably because of the rain. It may be because of the rainfall, or maybe he just could be in a real bad spot. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and back this up and then just kind of highlight this here. I want to walk back out into the chroma key, if you will, for those that are just joining us here. So we could be dealing with something that is called, what they say is a rain-wrapped funnel cloud, and this was last detected around Nauvoo. This was a radar-indicated storm, as this was warned by the Quad Cities National Weather Service office. So as this makes its way to the southeast, Nick is over somewhere in Iowa, so he's saying that he's got a spot on it, but do we have a visual? Let's see if we can go ahead to the visual before we start to lose it. So this is Nick Stewart in the Farm and Home Storm Runner, and this is a live feed. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got any audio, unless he's still trying to talk to us. Okay, he may be pulling over, or he may be reorienting the storm runner to try to get some better visual there. It looks like he's trying to do a U-turn, or maybe even stop to try to attempt to talk to us, or maybe not. This is all live and what's evolving across parts of southeast Iowa, but this is a tornado-warned storm, and he's trying to get himself into better position, I think, to probably tell us what he's seen or what he's experienced, and then report back to home base. So nonetheless, if we can go ahead and pop the radar back on, this tornado warning is good until 8:15 tonight. So we're going to stay here with you and let you know what we've got coming in for the National Weather Service now. So far, this has been radar indicated. So far, it is a funnel cloud. It could be rain wrapped at that. So as it moves to the southeast, this is all very heavy rainfall. We had some pea-sized hail that was reported earlier in Fort Madison. That was as this storm was in the severe thunderstorm stage as it was beginning to kind of grow. Then as it started to kind of flare out, as it made its way into western Hancock County, that's when we got the tornado warning. So as this makes its way off to the southeast, so if you're in the path from Nauvoo towards Elvaston to Rock Creek, anywhere within that fan, you need to be in your safe place, and you need to be taking shelter right now. Abandon that mobile home, and if you've got some friends that are in mobile homes, you need to make sure that they're in their safe place. We've got Nick Stewart who's standing by in the Storm Runner. Nick, what have you seen? What have you experienced? What's going on?
Hey, good evening, Rich. I'm sitting basically right underneath this area of interest near Nauvoo in far northwestern Hancock County. The storm did produce multiple wall clouds. It really attempted to kind of get a tight circulation, and that's when we could see it. The problem now is that the area of interest is now heavily wrapped in rain. So this thing would be nearly impossible to actually see coming at you unless it's right on top of you. So the biggest danger with the storm is going to be the fact that any tornado that may be with this storm is heavily wrapped in rain. To kind of give you some perspective, I'm right between about Nauvoo and Hamilton, looking off to the northwest towards the area of interest, which again is right by Nauvoo. We're also seeing, some very heavy rain with this storm. Haven't seen any hail yet. But again, the area of interest early on, before it came enveloped in rain, it did attempt to produce multiple wall clouds. We had a funnel visual at one point as well. The storm was definitely attempting to form a tighter circulation, and that's kind of my call there to the National Weather Service is kind of what triggered that tornado warning when I kind of told them about that funnel cloud that was kind of popping up with the storm. But again, the problem now is that, to reiterate, any area of interest would be heavily wrapped in rain. So do not go outside trying to look at the storm because you're simply not going to be able to see it.
Nick, would areas west of the Mississippi River be in the clear, or is that still a concern right now?
I think everywhere is still in that polygon. Definitely respect that polygon because everywhere in that polygon is still under that warning right now. The storm is just drifting off to the east-southeast. It looks like it's attempting to kind of keep what we call backbuilding or building back to the west. So it really doesn't look like it's cleared Lee County yet. I'd still say the area of interest is almost on top of the Montrose to Nauvoo area, right on that kind of Hancock County, Lee County line.
All right, so we got about another 15 plus minutes left on this tornado warning. And like you had mentioned, I'm seeing on the reflectivity that the rain is still continuing to kind of fill in on the backside of that polygon. That polygon is that area where the warning is issued by the National Weather Service. They put it out, and then they say that the storm is moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. And we continue to kind of keep an eye on where the storm is moving, but right now it looks like it's just kind of standing still. And there's the latest of the radar sweep right there. And again, Nauvoo, you're just getting pounded with rainfall. Hamilton, you're on the southern edge. Rock Creek, and again, you're getting a lot of rainfall as we speak, and even on the southern flank. Carthage, you look to the west, and the sky looks just as probably as dark as can be, and that's the heavy rainfall that's starting to make its way inbound, but very, very, very slowly. And Nick, you kind of saw this morning right about the time when the sun came up.
Right. Well, we had that initial wave of severe thunderstorms that pushed on through this morning. We kind of figured that, I talked about this last night, with that decaying line of storms that initially formed in southern Minnesota, pushed into our area, and then by the time it reached us, it's really kind of in a dying state. By the time it entered the tri-state area, it was not quite severe, despite the fact we had that severe thunderstorm warning. Right now, we actually are starting to get a little bit of hail here with this storm. It didn't look like it's very big. We kind of just got one or two hailstones with this. I will say, though, that on radar, it's starting to appear that the circulation might be trying to tighten up again. Again, hasn't moved very far, right around the Nauvoo to Montrose area, right on the Mississippi River in the far western area of that tornado warning. And looking just at what we call echo tops, the cloud tops of the storm, it is still very strong. It's a rock-hard updraft. So we're talking really tall storm here, definitely kind of what we call pulsing. It kind of increases in intensity and kind of decreases in intensity, and we're starting to get some really close lightning strikes as well. So it's kind of a multi-hazard storm. Again, the heavy rainfall, we're getting a little bit of hail with the storm. We have a tornado threat as well as the lightning.
All right. In addition to that, I wouldn't doubt that maybe Nick will be seeing some flood advisories come out, because this thing has just been parked over the same area for a long time, specifically Lee County, and I wouldn't doubt that parts of Hancock County may be seeing the same situation here in the not-too-distant future. All right, Nick, we'll check in with you a little bit later, and we'll also be checking in with the video feed here as we move along.
Sounds great. Well,
okay.
We'll keep an eye on the storm. Again, it's going to be real difficult to keep an eye on this thing just because of the really heavy precip that's involved in this updraft.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Nick. And that's Nick Stewart out and about in the Farm and Home Storm Runner. And again, he talked about high precipitation. There are certain ways that meteorologists classify severe thunderstorms. HP supercell, high precipitation supercell, has been talked about with this particular storm here in the National Weather Service chat. And there was at one time that there was talk perhaps maybe this storm was not going to be severe, but just a high rainfall rate. But that was not the case in just a very short time ago, as that severe thunderstorm warning was upgraded to a tornado warning. So I'm not sure if I can respond back to Ms. Tagan, but I will do that. Trying to multitask here, and I'll send that off, and we'll leave it at that. So anyway, to kind of recap here what we got a few isolated thunderstorms that are putting down some very heavy rainfall. The most important here is the tornado warned storm. This was originally radar indicated, and what meteorologist Nick Stewart has said, this one is particularly interesting, as this has what possibly could be a rain-wrapped situation here, a spin-up that is possibly just to the west of Nauvoo, towards the Lee County, Iowa area, just to the west of Nauvoo. Anyone still within the warned area, this includes central Lee, eastern Lee County area in southeastern Iowa, as well as northwestern and western Hancock County, Hancock County area in western Illinois. You're still game with this tornado warning, and this is a warned storm until 8:15 this evening. National Weather Service Doppler radar out of the Quad Cities indicated perhaps the possibility of a tornado being rain-wrapped in this particular severe thunderstorm, moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. Camp Eastman, Bluff Park, Nauvoo State Park, particular attention to this particular warned storm. I would also include those areas that we had mentioned before, Rock Creek all the way south to Elbaston. If you're on County Road, anywhere on County Road 1000, County Road 2450, Powellton, Rock Creek. I'm not sure if these are towns or townships. Galland, you need to pay particular attention, get to your safe place, your safe haven, be below ground. That's the most ideal. If you have no safe haven, you need to get to the lowest place, a ditch preferably that is not also prone to flash flooding. That's what I wanted to say, because this is putting down some tremendous amounts of rainfall in just a very short amount of time. So this backs up, this rainfall, by the way, backs up all the way to Highway 27, Vincennes in Lee County, right along 300th Street, Highway 218, and then it gets all the way over to central, even eastern Hancock County, Fountain Green, even Hancock, I think that's a township, La Harpe. You're not seeing anything right now, but I'm sure that the sky is looking awfully gray off to your immediate west. All right, so we're getting some verification that there is something going on right now to, this would be around Nyota. That would be to the south of, southeast of Fort Madison. So that would, well, that would be just a little geographically off just a bit. Observing rotation near the Nyota area. That's a third-party report. Okay, so just kind of, I think meteorologist Nick Stewart is on the same line as I am.
Hey, Rich, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Rich, right now we're starting to get a much better visual on this storm. I think you can see it towards the right, basically dead center of your screen. Really nice wall cloud is beginning to develop with the storm once again. It is a very low-hanging wall cloud. There's a really nice inflow tail going into that wall cloud from the right. That is a beefy wall cloud with the storm. It looks like it's starting to intensify once again. If this thing is going to tornado, it's going to do it right in front of us. It's definitely getting very, very intense. It's getting significantly more organized within the last about 2 to 3 minutes. Right now, we are about 3 miles northwest of Elviston, looking off to the basically almost straight west now. And again, really low-hanging wall cloud. There's a lot of scud with this storm, a lot of low-hanging clouds kind of getting sucked into that wall cloud. So it's getting significantly stronger within the last couple of minutes here.
All right, Nick, again, how close to Elviston are you right now?
I'm about 3 miles northwest.
Northwest. Okay, so that would put you back down at the bottom end of the polygon. Right about the lower end of the polygon, polygon warning, right around County Road 1000? Or would that be North County Road 1200?
100.
Okay, he's barely within the listening range. Okay, so needless to say, if you are within anywhere of Elviston, you need to take shelter right now. As Nick had described, very well-defined wall cloud that could put down a tornado pretty much at any time. This is turning into one heck of a thunderstorm. That's for sure. So let's go ahead and see if. Okay, we've got somebody else that's heading northward on Highway 96. So we're going to get some multi-reports from there. And I'm just going to go ahead and reply back on that. So we got a lot of things going on here, folks, so bear with me as we speak. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and review here what we've got going. If you're just joining us, the National Weather Service a short time ago issued a tornado warning for northwestern Hancock County, Central Lee County in southeastern Iowa at 7:41. Radar indicated a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado that was originally indicated near Nauvoo, moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. Now, this warning goes until 8:15. Our meteorologist, Nick Stewart, and the Farm and Home Storm Runner is located northwest of Elviston. He is now saying that we had indication there on the video that there was a base cloud that was going to produce a wall cloud. Actually, we witnessed the wall cloud that was about ready to produce a tornado at pretty much any time. It was starting to get all the right ingredients. It was starting to look rather beefy, and then possibly do something at any time. So Elviston, if you're in the path of that as it moves to the southeast, there's also other indications perhaps as this makes its way slowly to the southeast. If you're near Bentley, I know that's a stretch, but as this storm is just a little bit on the unpredictable side, because from Nauvoo to Elviston, that's a pretty long stretch. What we're seeing here on the reflectivity is still some very heavy rainfall. So Basco, you're not quite out of the woods there. Even though you're not included in the polygon, you need to be on high alert for something that may be coming inbound in just a very short amount of time. So as I'm looking here from some of the chat from the National Weather Service office out of the Quad Cities, I'm not seeing a whole lot of other reports from anybody else as far as any other storm spotters other than what Nick is reporting and then somebody else that is going to be reporting here as they get onto that particular storm. And Roger's going to plug me back in.
We're going to be road up here.
Thank you very much.
Just turn right in.
All right, so we're going to continue to monitor this as we get close here at 8 minutes past 8 o'clock and see if there may be an extension. If not, then we'll go ahead and get back to regular programming. But we have not had any other updates or anything else from anything else, but there is somebody else that they are en route to Hancock County trying to intercept this particular warned cell to report back and see if they can go ahead and see what Nick is actually seeing in the storm runner. And that is a pretty good circulation in this particular thunderstorm. So let's go ahead and see if we can see any of that inbound, outbound. Now, what we've just done is we put the filter back on the radar to see if we can see any inbound, outbound shear, and that would show up as either a good red to green or maybe even a bright white process here, and I'm not seeing anything other than a bunch of noise that's showing up here. This is the St. Louis radar, this is the Quad Cities, this is the Lincoln radar, and I'm really not seeing anything that is definitive. Okay, so with that, we have some new information I'm going to pass along here, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this up. And I will say, could you hand me the top paper there, please? Thank you. And I will go ahead and go over to the green wall because we've got a new warning out for parts of McDonough County, and let those people know what's going on too, because they're included in the viewing area. Roger, are you going to join me here? Mm-hmm. All right, because we have now severe thunderstorm warning. This is for northeastern McDonough County. Severe thunderstorm warning. This is until 9 o'clock tonight. This was located just 10 miles northeast of Macomb. This is moving east at 10 miles an hour. So this is an awful slow mover. This is going to put down a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time. This is also warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. So Bushnell, New Philadelphia, Scottsburg, you're in the line of this particular thunderstorm as it moves to the east at 10 miles an hour. This particular thunderstorm, again, a warned storm until 9 o'clock tonight for northeastern McDonough County. So this is a particular storm that is going to put down a lot of rainfall in a very short amount of time. So again, this just issued by the National Weather Service. Bushnell, New Philadelphia, Scottsburg, you're in the line for that particular thunderstorm. That may also move into Cass County as a warned storm, and we'll have to monitor that trend as that moves on over in that fashion. Very well-defined wall cloud located just 3 miles north of Hamilton. Excuse me, that's reported by our very own meteorologist Nick Stewart, is reported to the Quad Cities National Weather Service office. So let's get back, let's move the radar back. And the wall cloud is basically where the tornadoes will tend to originate from. Those wall clouds will then kind of spin out, they'll spin up. Tornadoes from time to time. That's where they, it's the base of the supercell. Nick says he's not seeing an area of any kind of tight rotation at this time. So.
Hey, Rich, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Hey, might as well give you an update while we're here. We're parked again just about 2 to 3 miles north of Hamilton in Hancock County. You're looking at that wall cloud just north of town. Again, as you mentioned, I'm not really seeing any areas of significant tight rotation. There's kind of a lot of low-hanging fingers with the storm. Yeah. None of them are funnels that I can tell. I don't really see any significant rotation with any of those little fingers that are kind of dropping. But again, we are still kind of keeping a very close eye on the storm. We're virtually probably almost only about a mile away from it.
Somebody had mentioned something that they were noting a lot of scud clouds. They weren't sure if they were, you know, the little fingers that are often associated with wall clouds, or if indeed they were scud clouds.
Right. It's definitely can be quite deceiving, especially when you have a tornado warning like this. There's a lot of those little kind of fingers that are hanging down from this wall cloud, which again is a very clearly defined wall cloud, especially for Illinois standards. And you just kind of have these low-hanging things kind of from the bottom of it. From our perspective, again, we're looking just north of Hamilton. We're not seeing any areas of really tight rotation. Everything is just kind of really broad in that sense. And we're kind of seeing that on the radar, too. There's no real significant rotation on radar with this storm, which is, again, very, very good news.
Okay, that is good news indeed. We've got about another minute whether or not the National Weather Service will or will not extend this particular tornado warning for Hancock and for Lee counties with this storm that you've been looking at. There's somebody else that may be joining you to kind of verify what's going on there. So this is just kind of an interesting environment. These are not those so-called pulse storms that you normally get when you have the heat of the summertime and then you get the warm air or the air rising into the cold atmosphere, and then you got those typical garden variety thunderstorms. This is just a little bit different environment. All right, so it looks like, Nick, they have canceled that tornado warning. I'm going to just kind of hold it here for just a second to see whether or not that they will do anything with that. And I don't think that they will. It looks as though they have canceled that tornado warning for Lee and for Hancock counties.
Which is probably a good decision. Again, we're right under it. So if anything changes, we can hop right back on TV pretty quick. But again, for the most part, very broad rotation. Still a really well-defined wall cloud with that storm, but nothing is significantly tight. That's kind of what we've been talking about for the past about 10 or so minutes, that it really hasn't quite gotten anything really tight and focused with the storm. Okay,
that's good to know. All right, so let's repeat this once more. The tornado warning has now expired. It has not been extended for Lee and for Hancock counties. Severe thunderstorm warning does, however, continue for northeastern McDonough County. That goes until 9 o'clock tonight. So Bushnell, New Philadelphia, you're in line for a lot of rainfall, some strong gusty wind, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour, and quarter-size hail. And again, that for northeastern McDonough County until 9 o'clock tonight. All other warnings have now expired. That's the latest. We'll be back if necessary. Back to regular programming.